terror suspects in those failed bombing attacks last week. Hello, everyone. I'm Patty Ann Brown. The FBI confirms 2 of the 7 doctors arrested in Britain had looked into working in the United States, including the suspected mastermind, Mohammed Asha. Fox's Greg Palkot is live in London with breaking developments on this international terror investigation. Hi, Greg.
Hey, Patty Ann, that's right. Just in the past 15 minutes or so, we've been getting some strong indications from the FBI that they're looking exactly at that. According to reports earlier in this day, 2 of the 8 suspects in that foiled UK car bomb attack had been approaching an agency in Philadelphia, which vets the credentials for foreign-born, foreign-trained doctors. Apparently, according to reports, and again, the FBI basically telling us that this is correct, apparently they were in the initial stages of application for that, a sign that at the very least they were thinking of coming to the U.S. to practice medicine. If you look at the events in the past week here in the U.K., maybe they were thinking about something else. This says other international links to the terrorism here in the U.K. are being closely examined today. Another report quoting a foreign intelligence source saying that Al-Qaeda in Iraq very much behind the attacks. This one report even went so far as to say that Osama bin Laden himself blessed it. No confirmation of that, obviously. Some, however, some of these suspects did spend time in Iraq. More attention really being paid here, Patty Ann, to the possibility that this terror was homegrown. It turns out as many as 5 of the 8 suspects spent some time together in the UK city of Cambridge, and that a lot of the rhetoric very anti-Western. This as the City of London gears up for yet another high-security weekend. Tomorrow, the anniversary of the so-called 7/7 bombings. That left 52 people dead 2 years ago. Attacks on the buses and subway system here. There will be public ceremonies marking that. That will be a concern. There will be other ceremonies as well and activities, including the Wimbledon tennis finals, the first leg of the Tour de France bicycle race, and even another concert from the Live Earth series. Finally, very quickly, Patty Ann, I just want to show this newspaper advertisement. Muslims united across Britain condemning the attempted bombings in London and Glasgow. This coming out from the Muslim Council of Britain. They've been very outspoken, saying that this terrorism has nothing to do with them. Very strong and very good stuff. There'll be more public word from them in the coming days. Patty Ann.
Nice to see that. Greg Palkot, thank you. And this same investigation is finding more links in Western Australia. Authorities raiding 2 hospitals in Perth and Kalgoorlie, seizing computers and questioning several doctors with experience in the British health system.
There are a number of people now being interviewed as part of this investigation. It doesn't mean that they're all suspects, but it is quite a complex investigation, and the links to the UK are becoming more concrete.
Police seized hospital computer files and communication equipment after finding connections to a doctor from India arrested Monday while trying to leave Australia with a one-way ticket. Police in Columbus, Ohio are looking for any possible connections after finding suspicious packages at various locations yesterday. They all turned out to be false alarms, but the bomb squad did detonate some of the items. If it turns out all the separate incidents are connected, whoever was responsible could face charges for inducing panic. She's not old enough to drink or drive, but police in Alabama say an 11-year-old girl was doing both. Dashcam video caught a wild chase, which cops say went on for 5 miles along a local highway at speeds up to 100 miles an hour.
She left the road here. She went airborne. She didn't come down. She hit that fire hydrant. They just put it back up. And she knocked the 2 palms down, and it rolled and then come right back up against those dead palms. Once the police pulled up there, jumped out with their weapons, because they didn't know what they were up against either.
Police say the preteen suspect claims she borrowed her mom's car to pick up her sister. She now faces charges of DUI, speeding, reckless driving, and leaving the scene of an accident. She's 12 years old, 4'11", and hasn't been seen since Wednesday night. An Amber Alert in the Pacific Northwest. All eyes peeled for Zena Linick. Witnesses say they heard her scream and then saw an Asian man drive off in a gray van. Fox's Dan Springer is live in Seattle with more on this. Hi, Dan.
Well, Patty Ann, an unbelievably scary situation for these parents, and any other parent can empathize. There has been absolutely no new information on this story, really, since it broke Wednesday night, and that's despite a flood of media reports here in the Seattle area. 12-year-old Zena Linick has been missing since 9:45 Wednesday night. She had been watching fireworks with her entire family on the 4th of July. The family went inside their house in Tacoma. For some reason, she did not go inside with them and was last seen walking down an alley near their home. Then some family members and a witness in the area heard a girl scream. Not sure exactly if it was her scream, but sounded like her. The witness then saw a man closing the door to an older model van, perhaps an old Volkswagen van. The man then got into the van and it sped off. Now, Zena is described as a white girl, 4'11", with blonde hair put in a ponytail. She was wearing a pink T-shirt, light-colored capri pants with red flip-flops. Police are treating this as a stranger abduction. At this point, they have no reason to suspect a family member. There's apparently no history of the girl being a runaway and no family problems that they know of. The parents are recent immigrants from Ukraine. They don't speak English, but their kids do. Police did track down a possible suspect late Wednesday night, but they let him go after determining that he had nothing to do with the girl's disappearance. Now, as I said, this has received a lot of media attention here in the Seattle area. There's been a flood of tips that the police have received. They have put out an Amber Alert, and everyone who drives on the freeways around here, they're seeing these Amber Alert signs, and they have partial information on a plate. They say that the witnesses got a look at that plate as the car was driving away, and they say the numbers that they saw were 1677. That's a Washington license plate, numbers 1677. Not sure if they're all in that order or perhaps jumbled, but that's what the witness got a look at. And as I said, no new information despite a lot of attention being paid to the story, and the police are taking it very seriously as a stranger abduction. Patty Ann?
All right, Dan Springer in Seattle, thank you. Well, it's back to bells and blackjack in Vegas after late-night gamblers dodged a deranged gunman. Cops say a 50-year-old Las Vegas local opened fire from a walkway above the New York casino. It happened just before 1 a.m. Officers and even some patrons pouncing on the man immediately. 4 people were wounded, none of the injuries life-threatening. Miss New Jersey says she's not handing over her crown, despite an anonymous threat to expose personal photos of the beauty queen if she doesn't relinquish her title by today.
This isn't only a cowardly attack upon my reputation and integrity, but also upon the integrity of pageants across the nation, particularly the venerable institution known as Miss America. Yes, I am more committed than ever before to fight this atrocity, regardless of the outcome.
Amy Palumbo's lawyer won't give details about the photos, which were posted years ago on a private website, but the lawyer insists the photos are not lewd. A parent's nightmare caught on tape. Watch what happens when a Kentucky school bus driver gets behind the wheel on drugs. Angelina Young was sentenced to 22 years behind bars after slamming into a utility pole. Several students were injured. Young was convicted of driving with pot, cocaine, and tranquilizers in her system. She tried to retract her guilty plea at the last minute, but the judge said no. Well, it's a heat wave out west, and folks in Las Vegas are really feeling that heat, with temperatures climbing into the triple digits again today. William LaJeunesse is live in Las Vegas. William, just how hot is it going to get?
Well, it was 116 degrees here yesterday. That is 1 degree shy of the all-time record for any period of time, and it tied the record for July. And what they're looking at is that this pressure system really is right over the Nevada, Arizona, California area. It hit 125 in the Mojave Desert. Of course, we're expecting this to drop off very slightly today and through the weekend, but we're still looking at temperatures of 114 down to about 110. Experts say, hey, you got to stay indoors, don't exercise, and definitely wear your sunscreen.
It was 116, which is excessively hot. Every city does their own measurement on that. Las Vegas's measurement is when it hits 112 during the hottest time of year, the red lights go off, and we say that's excessively hot. Don't spend time outdoors if you don't have to. Drink a lot of water and stay in the shade if you can.
So we talk about it being a dry heat. Of course, 115 is 115, but it actually does make a difference, because when you have this kind of heat wave in the East Coast and the Southeast, that's when you get those excessive number of deaths. In fact, there are more people die related to heat waves than they do either in floods or hurricanes. But out here, out west, we're pretty much capable of handling it. We had a drain on the power grid, a record drain on the electricity in Nevada and parts of California yesterday, but we were able to withstand that. So it's the implications really of what that heat means for instance, the drought. We've only had 0.2 of 1 inch of rain since January out here in Nevada. That is bad. And of course, drought means fire danger. So we're looking in for the implications of what this heat really means for that as the summer continues. But the heat is expected to continue. And of course, as I said earlier, this is 777, a very lucky day in Vegas on Saturday. We have a lot of wedding couples out here. Hopefully they'll be prepared to handle the heat. Patty Ann, back to you.
Yeah. All right. Fox's William LaJeunesse live in Vegas. Thank you. So will it cool off anytime soon? Let's ask Janice Dean. She's live in the Fox Weather Center. Hey, Janice.
Maybe some bathing suits for the weddings tomorrow in Las Vegas. We always talk about bathing suits in this hour. I'm not sure why. Moving into Las Vegas and what we can expect for this region. Unfortunately, yes, it's going to remain hot. They know how to deal with the heat. A little bit cooler, if you can say 110 degrees is cooler on Saturday. Slight wind. We are looking at the potential for some dry lightning. We do have a front that's going to move through this region. And of course, because it's so hot, the water or the rain is going to evaporate. So all we have left is the lightning that could spark off wildfire danger, as William was mentioning. The heat right now, 98 in Las Vegas, 99 in Phoenix. These are all excessive heat warnings, as William was mentioning. And this heat really continuing up towards the northwest, the Rockies region. Now, this neighborhood not as well equipped to deal with the heat. A lot of folks don't have air conditioners, and we set records in Boise and Spokane yesterday. In Boise right now, 83 degrees. Great Falls, Montana, 86. So well above average in the northwest when it comes to the heat. And the drought monitor, not good news here, especially for the southwest, where we're dealing with, well, we had the driest, wettest season on record for Southern California. An extreme drought situation as we head into the Four Corners region. So any lightning is not a good thing for this area, as we could see the potential for wildfire danger, and it's going to be a very, very dangerous wildfire season as we get into the next few summer months. Back to you, Patty Ann.
All right, Janice Dean, thank you.
You bet.
And to the east of L.A., outside Phoenix, Arizona, an arson investigation after a construction site goes up in flames. Intense heat radiating off an inferno that gutted an unfinished home. The builder says 2 neighboring houses will have to be leveled. 2 other nearby homes were also damaged. Witnesses say they saw suspicious people hanging around just before the fire broke out. Dirty bombs, perhaps one of the biggest threats to our security, and now there are reports of radioactive materials disappearing at an alarming rate. And they were accused of stealing mail. Now they're in a lot more trouble. Play-by-play on a wild car chase coming up.
You got to be kidding me!
Can't believe it.
Would you like to win $10 million from Publishers Clearinghouse?
Oh, yeah!
Go to PCH.com at once.
Oh, I believe it now.
Or enter by mail, and our next $10 million winner could be you.
People are smart. And when it comes to home loans, they don't want smoke and mirrors. They want a smart rate, like our 30-year fixed mortgage around 6 1/8%. Call 1-800-DITEC-1 now to get a loan without being sawed in half. DITEC. People are smart.
At eHarmony, we match you across 29 dimensions of compatibility. And right now, not only can you log on to eHarmony.com and get your personality profile, you can also review your matches all for free. Aren't you curious to see who you would be matched up with according to compatibility?
He loves me for me.
Visit eHarmony.com and discover what so many singles have found. Log on today and review your eHarmony matches absolutely free. eHarmony.com.
People will do just about anything to keep from having to eat to get their fiber. That's why we've worked hard to develop things to help them. The famous fiber patch, that was mine. Fiber Pops, the near award winner. Fiber Optics, fiber. And Bill, he's part fiber. For me, I just go with these all-brand yogurt bites. Crunchy flakes with yogurty clusters. Wish I had the patent on these little guys. And with 3 times as much fiber as the leading supplement, I mean, if everyone tried these for a couple weeks, what would they need me for?
On the defense, securing our airports, bridges, and even borders. What's the cost of protecting America? Plus, Bill's on board. Mr. Clinton's hitting the campaign trail and helping Hillary win over Wall Street. Will it work? The Cost of Freedom. Weekends. Don't miss a moment.
Banned by PBS, a riveting documentary about moderate Muslims fighting jihadists who want us dead. Was it liberal bias? Now we air the story that PBS tried to kill. E.D. Hill hosts Banned by PBS, Muslims Against Jihad.
They are accused of carrying out terror attacks overseas, but now we're learning they may have had their sights on American soil. The Philadelphia Inquirer is reporting that some of the UK terror suspects may have tried to enter the U.S. At least 2 of them are said to have inquired about medical programs here in the States. And joining us now is the author of Bomb Scare, The History and Future of Nuclear Weapons, Joseph Cirincione, a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Specifically, 2 of these men made contact with the agency in the United States that certifies foreigners to become medical residents in the United States. You know, after 9/11, we looked closer at pilot schools. Do we now have to take a look closer at medical residents and the people who are applying for medical residencies? And is it possible that some medical residents currently here might be terrorists?
I think this underscores 2 concerns that people have had. One is that there are other professionals like doctors and others who are coming into this country from certification, from getting licenses in foreign countries, that may harbor a great deal of anger at the United States. So yes, we have to be more careful about who we're certifying, who we're letting come into this country. And the second concern is that many of the people involved in this terrorist attack in England apparently were motivated by anger over the Iraq War. So it's further evidence for those who are concerned that the Iraq War is actually producing terrorists and that this is part of the general hostility and radicalization of the Muslim community around the world.
So what can be done to tighten security when it comes to these medical residents? This agency that certifies them is based in Philadelphia. Install some FBI agents there, Homeland Security agents, and how do we look into, if we plan to, the residents who are already working here?
It's very difficult. You know, we're an open society. We embrace people from many countries coming to our country. I myself have an Indian doctor. I'm perfectly happy with her. I have no concerns about her patriotism or loyalty. But particularly for these doctors, I think, who are coming now from areas where there has been increased hostility towards the United States, clearly we have to be taking a closer look at why they're coming and what their background might be.
And then the question becomes, what exactly could these doctors do if they are terrorists here in our hospitals? They have access to radioactive materials that are used regularly in hospitals, and there's a disturbing report coming out of Canada that 76 radioactive devices have gone missing there in the past 5 years, and that in fact in the United States in the past 10 years there have been 1,300 incidents. It seems that many of these are accidents, these radioactive devices literally falling off the backs of trucks, a lot of carelessness. How easy might it be for a terrorist to get their hands on one of these devices?
Yeah, there is a disturbing connection here. We're talking about radioactive sources that have widespread use in medical and industrial applications, for example, radiography, radiotherapy machines in many hospitals. And these have radioactive sources that produce the X-rays, the gamma rays, and those sources could be used to lace a conventional bomb with radioactive material, producing a so-called dirty bomb. So a car bomb that then spreads radioactive material over tens of square blocks downtown. And there is a disturbing connection. Physicians would have access to this kind of material. Fortunately, most of the material is relatively used in small quantities, but some, particularly for cancer treatment and some of the more intense imaging equipment, does have significant quantities that could be stolen and diverted by medical personnel operating those machines.
Disturbing, and some of these reports mentioning that there's not that much focus on dirty bombs, the focus more on large-scale weapons, and very disturbing information. Joseph Cirincione, author of Bomb Scare, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Blaming Iran for the death of U.S. soldiers in Iraq. Disturbing new information on Tehran's proxy war against America. Burger King cooking up a new recipe for healthier meals, but will it pass the taste test?
Ever notice how some things that look the same are really quite different? At 21st, we're drivers just like you. And it's the same with auto insurance. All policies may look alike, but they're not. Only 21st offers extra benefits that don't cost extra, like complimentary roadside assistance, and 7 out of 10 drivers can save with us. With 21st, you'll never look at auto insurance the same way again. 21st. Call us at 1-800-211-SAVE.
Blockbuster Total Access. Like Netflix, you get unlimited movies straight to your mailbox.
You got any good ones? Oh, they all die in the end. You never see it coming. She never finds her father. So sad. Alien wins. Ship sinks.
But with Blockbuster Total Access, you can do something you can't do with Netflix. Exchange your movies for new ones right in the store. No extra charge, just in case you need them. Movies with the mail plus movies with the store. One low price. That's Blockbuster Total Access. Get a free trial at your Blockbuster store or Blockbuster.com.
I love making Tylenol.
I love making Tylenol. I put love into this product.
I'm not just making it for your kids. I'm making it for mine.
I'll make the best product that I can possibly make. I promise.
I promise.
I'll never forget that what we make goes into someone's body.
All the love we put in that, yeah, that's good.
We don't make store-brand pain relievers. We make Tylenol.
What makes Tylenol so unique isn't just its commitment to safety. It's also the people that make it. Hear why at Tylenol.com/promise.
Fellas, now you've gone too far.
Fig Newtons, packed with that real fruit taste. It's the cookie that thinks it's a...
I got it because I couldn't take dial-up another second.
I got it because I get all the speed I need.
It's like boom, I click, I'm connected.
There are more reasons than ever to switch to Verizon high-speed internet. It's up to 21 times faster than dial-up and costs less than most cable companies.
You want to download a file, it's right there.
We send pictures to Grandma all the time.
Finally download music like everyone else.
Now you can download videos, photos, and more on your own dedicated line for just $14.99 a month for a year. With a price this low, you have no excuse not to sign up.
I think their customer service is tremendous.
When you ask for support, it's there.
I can be on the computer and she's on the phone.
Yeah, it costs less than cable.
So call 1-866-545-9322 to get Verizon high-speed internet for only $14.99 a month. It couldn't be easier to switch and get on the network over 100 million people rely on every day. So call 1-866-545-9322 now. Plus, if you order online, you get your first 30 days free with a modem included.
You want to go back?
No, I don't want to go back to that.
Verizon. It's the network.
Well, cops were in hot pursuit of suspected mail bandits in Arizona. They say the couple took off after being caught breaking into letterboxes. The chase was called off when it got too dangerous, but a news chopper stayed on their tail. It ended at an apartment complex. One suspect going inside, the other taking off on a bicycle. Both arrested within minutes, along with 2 other suspects. Well, Senator John McCain's presidential campaign is facing a financial meltdown of sorts, forcing him to scale back his efforts in the key state of Florida. He's on the ropes, but is it too early to count him out? Mike Allen is the chief political correspondent for Politico.com. Thanks for joining us.
Happy Friday, Patty Ann.
And same to you. He's not doing well with the fundraising. He's firing staff. Is McCain going to concede Florida? And looking further, is he going to quit the race?
Well, of course not. Certainly it's way too early to be saying that. But Patty Ann, you're right. The Florida is emblematic of the challenges that Senator McCain now faces. As you know, a lot of your viewers know, its primary is January 29th, ahead of Tsunami Tuesday. And so you're going to need to have an organization in place there early. And that's the problem with letting go of 50 to 70 people, nearly half the staff. There's plenty of time, 7 months till Iowa. But as in a sporting event, politics is very much about momentum. People want to be with a winner. And at this point, it's very hard to get donors, potential staff, big endorsers to jump on this train if they're not sure that it's going anywhere. Now, Patty Ann, Senator McCain is going to have a big opportunity next week to show people that his heart is still in this. As your viewers know, he was in Iraq Tuesday, Wednesday. late next week. He's going to be going to New Hampshire. He's going to do a town meeting where he's fantastic in that format, and he's going to talk about Iraq. So he needs to sort of be his own Obama girl, get pulses racing again, remind people why they liked him in 2000.
Yeah, he is a maverick. He'll take positions that are not popular within his own party. Is that sort of not working out for him? And are we going to see a more moderate or a more party line McCain going forward?
Well, that's so interesting, Patty, and you put your finger on a great issue, because what I'm picking up is that we're going to more see the shoot from the hip, old McCain, the McCain that connected with people, that was such a hit in New Hampshire in 2000. You know, he tried the establishment thing. He was the president's best friend in the re-election race. He's had the president's back on Iraq, on immigration, and where has that gotten him? You know, the media acts like he's been the victim of a T-Rex attack. So I think we're going to see him out there talking his heart on these issues. He's not going to back away from immigration or Iraq, which have hurt him dearly. But I think, you know, he got a little trouble for making a little Beach Boys joke about Iran. I think you're going to see more of that, because that's his one chance now, is to remind people that he's the informal human guy that they can relate to against some of the other stiffs that are in the field.
And that Beach Boys comment got some of the vets on his side, although it alienated some others. Mike, as you said, way too early to talk about him quitting, and yet some people are calling for that. Looking way ahead, if he were to exit the race, what impact would it have on the other candidates?
Well, I'm not even going to buy that premise, because he's second or third in a lot of national polls, and I think one of the best points the campaign makes is that people who are saying he's out of it now are the people who are saying that John Kerry was dead in the fall of 2003. But I can tell you that one thing that's hurting Senator McCain, that's hurting all the candidates, is the Fred Thompson effect. Not only are people on the sidelines waiting for what Fred Thompson might do, but also we hear that Senator Thompson's fundraising is going fantastically. So a lot of that money that might be going to some of these other candidates is going to Fred Thompson. And I hope that the mail bandit that you talked about in Arizona wasn't taking checks for Senator McCain, because he certainly needs them. There's not that much difference in what these candidates raised, but at this time, perception becomes reality. And Senator McCain had set a very modest goal for himself, which was to do slightly better than he did in a bad quarter last time, and he didn't hit that. So that's the challenge, is to get a new narrative going, and that's what he's going to have to do when he gets back from Iraq and gets back on the stuff in New Hampshire, where he says he enjoys being.
All right, Mike Allen of Politico.com, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy
and
weekend,
still ahead,
Patty.
thank you. You too. An amazing force of nature in the skies over Texas after 2 weeks of rain and floods. Will the Lone Star State ever see the sunshine? And an Illinois man is accused of killing his entire family in their SUV. Will he plead not guilty to the murders? Why are the cops worried about his safety?
Smaller and lighter, with high-speed internet, a 2-megapixel camera, and email in over 130 countries. It has the intelligence you require, with the beauty you desire. The all-new BlackBerry Curve, only from AT&T, the world's leading provider of BlackBerry service. Singular's name is now AT&T.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare supplement plans, so I could understand it all. After I called, I was able to choose the plan that was right for me.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you from paying thousands of dollars out of your own pocket. These are the only Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit with all you need to enroll, so you can join the millions of people who've already trusted us for their Medicare supplement insurance. Plus, we'll send you this free guide to understanding Medicare.
The prices are competitive. I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call now to get the free information kit. Plus, we'll include this free Medicare guide. And the advantages don't end there. You can choose from a wide range of plans that are all competitively priced, so you can find a plan that best fits your needs and budget. There are virtually no claim forms to fill out. And best of all, they're the only Medicare supplement plans endorsed by AARP.
When they told me these plans were endorsed by AARP,
I had only one thing to say.
Sign me up.
Call now 1-800-431-3260 and let us help you choose the right plan. So call now 1-800-431-3260 and find out about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting for your call.
Iran is already at war with the U.S., according to Joe Lieberman, the Connecticut senator, using some fighting words in a new Wall Street Journal op-ed piece. He's accusing the Islamic Republic of funding terrorism in Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's not the first time he's targeted Iran in the media. James Rosen is live in Washington. Hi, James.
Patty Ann, good morning. Increasingly brazen behavior by Iran in an undeclared war against the United States. That's the warning today from the Democratic Party's 2000 vice presidential nominee. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed today, Senator Joseph Lieberman cites recent evidence presented by the U.S. military showing that the Iranian regime, led by President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, is using the Lebanese paramilitary group Hezbollah to train insurgents that are killing American troops in Iraq. Lieberman says Iran is spending $3 million a month to train its proxies at 3 camps near Tehran. He also cites a Pentagon estimate based on forensic evidence that Iran is culpable in the deaths of at least 170 U.S. soldiers. Iran's purpose in sponsoring attacks on American soldiers, after all, is clear, Lieberman writes today. It hopes to push the U.S. out of Iraq and Afghanistan so that its proxies can then dominate these states. Tehran knows that an American retreat under fire would send an unmistakable message throughout the region that Iran is on the rise and America is on the run. That, Lieberman concludes, would be a disaster for the region and the U.S. Now, in Baghdad today, a U.S. commander was told of Lieberman's op-ed and asked to provide proof of Iran's involvement.
There are indeed JM special groups that are going into Iran, conducting training, refitting, and then coming back to attack coalition soldiers and Iraqi security force soldiers. So I'm not into the politics of what's going on. I just tell you, we've got Iranian munitions, we've got EFPs attacking our soldiers, and we've got training being conducted in Iran, all of which we're concerned about and we're working against.
Lieberman's op-ed comes as Democrats prepare to use a Pentagon spending measure next week to try again to enforce a funding cutoff or troop withdrawal timeline on the Iraq war. Patty Ann.
Fox's James Rosen, thank you.
Thank you.
Some amazing pictures of a waterspout in the skies over Galveston, Texas. Just more of the rough weather hitting this flood-ravaged state. More than 2 weeks of rain and flooding have destroyed at least 1,000 homes and killed 13 people. Rivers and lakes are overflowing their banks, and more rain is coming. A small town in Kansas completely destroyed by flooding, and now folks are gathering to try to figure out how to rebuild. Last weekend, heavy rains forced rivers over their banks, flooding the entire town. Some houses have extensive water damage. Other people actually lost their homes. Is there any relief in sight for folks in these flood-ravaged states? Well, let's ask Janice Dean, who's live in the Fox Weather Center. Hi again, Janice.
Yeah, it's feast or famine when it comes to flooding. Most areas don't see that amount of rainfall. The southeast and the southwest are into extreme drought situations. And then in the midsection of the country, we've had incredible amounts of rain. Victoria, Texas, these are all surpluses, what you see on an average since January 1st of this year. So again, we're running almost a 2-foot surplus in terms of heavy rainfall, and unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have the potential for more rain this weekend. Now, the Alabama drought, move a little bit towards the east. That's where we're dealing with severe to exceptional drought. Deficits of over 20 inches in Tuscaloosa, over a foot in Birmingham and Montgomery. They really need to see the rain. Now, a little bit of good news. The low pressure system that we've been dealing with in Texas is actually moving eastward. So places like Louisiana, you're into a deficit as well. You're going to get some of this moisture. However, as we head into Saturday and Sunday, another upper level low is going to form across the great state of Texas, bringing more flooding concerns. So again, flash flood watches and warnings posted just north of Corpus Christi to Houston to Dallas, and then at the border of of Oklahoma and Arkansas and Louisiana as that low moves eastward. Again, we could really use the rain in places like Mississippi, Alabama, into Georgia and Florida, where they're into an extreme drought situation. And there's your drought monitor to show you exactly how much rain they need, really from South Florida all the way up to the Tennessee and parts of the Ohio Valley. We could use some of that flooding rainfall in Texas in these areas. Also, a quick look at the temperatures right now. 80 in Atlanta, 77 in New York, 82 in Houston, 82 in Kansas City. You move over to the desert Southwest, we're not seeing those temperatures crop up, but we're going to see over 100 degrees again in the desert Southwest, Las Vegas, also Phoenix, over 100 degrees, in some cases over 110 degrees. Seattle 76, 95 is your daytime high in Denver. A lot of 90s on the map today, 90 in Atlanta. Almost the dog days of summer. It's only July 6th. Back to you, Patty Ann.
All right, that's for sure. Janice Dean, thank you. Well, Burger King will use trans fat-free cooking oil in all of its U.S. restaurants by the end of next year. The world's second largest hamburger chain is known for its flame-broiled burgers, but uses cooking oil for French fries and most of its chicken products. The company says consumer testing has found the food cooked in the new oil tasted the same or even better. Well, an Illinois father charged with killing his wife and 3 children, leaving them shot dead in an SUV, appeared in court via video hookup from jail, where he is now under a suicide watch. In court, the state's attorney dropped 4 of the 8 charges against Christopher Vaughn. Vaughn's lawyer says his client will plead not guilty. Protecting your loved ones and possessions in Missouri. A new law means folks can shoot an intruder dead without fear of punishment. For more on this, Peter Kinder, Missouri Lieutenant Governor, joins us live. Hi, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
18 states now have this law or a similar law. You've heard the concerns. We'll run through them and you can respond. What if it's just a dumb, unarmed kid acting on a dare? He ends up shot dead. Critics say that this whole shoot first, ask questions later will lead to unnecessary tragedies.
Well, the elected representatives of the people in Missouri gave their answer when they passed the Castle Doctrine bill overwhelmingly by the vote of 151 to 6 in the House of Representatives and by 29 to 3 in the Senate. There's a reason why 18 states, Missouri being the most recent, have passed the Castle Doctrine since former Governor Bush signed it into law first in Florida just 2 years ago. And that is because it harks back to the millennia-old right of self-defense. When someone is unlawfully entering your dwelling place or your vehicle, an attempted carjacking, you have the God-given right, the natural right, to defend yourself, your family, and your property.
We should mention that it's called the Castle Doctrine to refer to the old adage that a man's home is his castle. We had a guy on Wednesday who said that he knew of a pizza delivery guy who was shot in a scenario like that. Now, what about something like that? Pizza delivery guy knocks, gets no answer, ventures inside the house because he's supposed to deliver this pizza. What about tragedies like that?
Well, Patty Ann, that is a factual question for determination at a trial. We have libraries full of case law that turn on factual questions like that, and the incident you cited is a tragic one. It does not, in my opinion, impinge on what should be the rule that is now stated in statutory law in Missouri and 17 other states, and that is that when a person is unlawfully entering your dwelling or your vehicle, you have a right to use the force necessary to repel that invasion.
You mentioned,
what you've cited
let me just interrupt for a second. You mentioned that this is an issue at trial, but my understanding is that the whole point behind this law is that someone who shoots an intruder, as long as they have stepped inside your dwelling, they're free from prosecution. Unlawfully. All right, so in a case like this, if you could say that the delivery guy had a right to be there, there would still be a trial in a case like that.
That is correct. Okay. That is correct. But as to the unlawful intruder, there will be neither civil nor criminal action against the person defending his home or his vehicle. Or
I'm just throwing out the criticisms that people are giving. Another criticism, a wife half asleep, disoriented, confused. Her husband comes home. She thinks he's an intruder in her fog and shoots him. The worry is just that this kind of thing is more likely to happen with this kind of law to back them up.
Is simply not borne out by the experience of the states that have passed this law, and I do not believe it will be. You cite some tragic mistakes of perception, mistakes of the facts of the situation that do not, again, do not impinge on the general law that the elected representatives of the people have laid down in this instance, and I believe are going to be enacted in many other states as well because of the common sense rule we're talking about here.
All right, Missouri's Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And this is a Fox News alert. Information from police radio. This has not been confirmed independently, but as you can see, there is a police chase going on right now. It's in Mission Hills, California, possibly a driving under the influence case. This car is being chased along the eastbound side of Highway 118. Obviously, it's a slow-speed chase. This car about to go on to 405. Again, possibly a DUI case in Mission Hills, California. A slow-speed chase. The driver so far has not been responding to the police sirens. The driver does appear to be alone in the vehicle. Police are following it. The car is a gold and tan sedan.
Well,
there are 2 police units in pursuit. This is LAPD. They're referring to the driver as a female, again, possibly driving under the influence. So far, it doesn't look all that dangerous because it is at such a slow speed, but we will keep an eye on this for you. And we're listening in right now to the chopper that is at the scene. That's a KTTV chopper. Let's listen in.
Where we are right now. So technically, I guess this would be Pacoima as far as the map is concerned, but she's getting off at Sepulveda. Looks actually Laurel Canyon. Laurel Canyon is what she just got off at. Just exited the 118 at the 5 Laurel Canyon, and now is heading south on Laurel Canyon with LAPD. At least at last count, we saw about 11 units now in pursuit, LAPD. Initially, this started, as they called it, the suspected DUI, turning off of Laurel Canyon, turning west, just off of Laurel Canyon. There's an air unit above, keeping an eye on things. So, you know, time is on the side of the LAPD officers here. They're just going to follow and see what happens. Turning right again. We may see a pit maneuver. We may see a pit, possibly. Let's see what's, here we go. Yep. Wow, this is just at the 5 freeway. She was just, or I should say the 118, she was just about to get back on, and officers apparently have disabled the car. So many times, giving audible instructions. We'll have to see how cooperative the driver is. Right. There's certainly some damage on the front end. The license plate was barely hanging on by a string, it looked like. And some damage possibly to the windshield. This is the on-ramp, actually, to get back on, off and on-ramp to get back onto the 118 here, right near Laurel Canyon, the westbound. Oh, she's driving away. Up. Back in pursuit. Units right there, and she's getting back on the freeway, the 118 westbound now, so we're kind of backtracking here. There it is. Yeah, and it was interesting. We got close enough. Northbound 5 is what she's gotten back on here. Northbound 5. Just north of the 118, and it was interesting to see her demeanor. We could see through the window that she just was very calm. Yeah, very calm, relaxed, not really too nervous about anything that's going on.
All right, we're listening right now to KTTV live chopper coverage of a low-speed chase going on right now in Mission Hills, California. The driver, a woman said to be alone in her sedan, driving obviously at a slow rate of speed, believed to be possibly driving under the influence. She had stopped at one point after being sort of tapped, and she spun around a bit and was surrounded by police cars, and they were giving her orders, obviously, to get out of the car in a peaceful manner, and she didn't emerge from the vehicle, and eventually she just started driving again. And the cops in these cases could obviously throw their vehicle in front of her to stop her, but they're always trying to avoid an accident in these situations since it is a slow-speed chase. We are going to pause momentarily and listen in again to the chopper coverage from KTTV.
This unit may be closing in again for another pit maneuver. We'll have to see. This unit may be closing in again for another pit maneuver. We'll have to see. There aren't a lot of other cars around. the units behind her are actually kind of holding traffic back, so there's not a lot for her to, you know, this is an opportunity for them. Again, time being on their side, and we'll have to see what they do here. Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, if we didn't know better, we could think that she wouldn't know that they were there behind her, because it seems so leisurely and relaxed. Yeah, there are units behind her and not anything close to her in front. I mean, traffic going at full freeway speed has pretty much moved ahead, and she's the slowest thing going on the freeway right now. Yeah, exactly. Up on the right, you know, on the passenger side there, looks like there's a little bit of something. And the front's certainly damaged. Northbound 5, we've just passed the 405 interchange and continuing to head north. Again, all the traffic coming in on the southbound side, so she really doesn't have a lot to stop her on the northbound side, which certainly makes for a safer situation. Absolutely, yeah. It's a lower traffic day, and we'll be going through the 405 merge. We've gone past that, and we'll head up towards the next thing is really the 210 interchange. That's the next big major interchange that we'll be going through, and then of course the Newhall Pass, which the 5 branches off from the 14. Again, not a lot. It's interesting, the LAPD has maintained this pursuit the whole time. We haven't seen CHP units involved in this. The agency is they're the lead agency, and they're holding on to this pursuit. Often they hand off pursuits that end up on the freeway for some time, but not yet. It is now. They seem to be just getting on the freeway, and is now. It's difficult, you know, when you see this happening near you, because here's a pursuit, and it's slower than you're going, so you really should pull over and get out of the way. Exactly. We had heard them over the radio every time the officers were talking, and yes, definitely sirens, red lights, and blue lights, and they've made every attempt at this point to try to stop the driver here. Again, this is northbound side of the 5, approaching the 210. Yes, that was it. It was all we had heard. All we had heard was that she had failed to yield, and other than initially wanted for possible DUI, which that was all. That's all the information we have as far as what they wanted to stop this driver for.
All right, again, we're listening to KTTV live coverage of a slow-speed chase in Mission Hills, California. The driver, a lone female, believed to be possibly driving under the influence. Police were on her tail. They flashed their sirens and lights, asked her to pull over. She did not do so, so this slow-speed chase ensued. Right now, it's northbound on I-5, apparently just past 210 or approaching 210 at this point. And at one point, the car did stop and was surrounded by several different police vehicles, and they were ordering her to exit the vehicle quietly, and she didn't come out, and eventually she hit the gas again and took off again, and here she is now. And so far, since it is a slow-speed chase, luckily no other cars have become involved. This particular highway, I-5, pretty empty at the moment, thankfully. It's early in the morning there, I guess. Not that early, though, but so far, luckily, not that much traffic and no problems there. And this slow-speed chase is continuing, and we're listening to KTTV live coverage from their chopper, which is shooting this scene. And we're going to go right now to our own Anita Vogel, who is live in LA. Hi, Anita.
Well, hi, Patty Ann. I have to tell you that I don't have a picture of this car chase yet to look at, but I can tell you just from the area a little bit about this area and where this car would be based on the information that I'm hearing. I understand this car chase started out at the 118 and Tampa, which would put this car in Northridge. That's the San Fernando Valley. This is unusual on a number of accounts. First of all, we have a female driver. We don't often see that a lot with these car chases. And I understand the LAPD first began chasing chasing this woman because she was a possible DUI suspect. Right now, if she's on the I-5 headed north, that would put her in the Santa Clarita area of the North San Fernando Valley. And if she continues on that freeway, she's headed north towards Northern California, obviously, and pretty soon she'll hit the Grapevine, which is sort of a steep mountainous pass that puts you on the road to Bakersfield. So we'll have to see how far she's able to travel, but that's generally the area that she's in. And if she's headed northbound on that freeway, there's not a lot of traffic generally in that direction at this hour. Right now it's about 10 minutes to 9 a.m. in the morning Pacific time. Not generally a heavy traffic time for that area.
Yeah, luckily the road's very empty. There was just a bit of drama earlier when the car spun out and was surrounded by police vehicles. We can show tape now of when that happened. There it is. The one cop trying to circle around, and the car spun out there, came to a stop, and many police vehicles at that point surrounded it. And again, they were giving her instructions to exit the vehicle, and some time passed. It looked like maybe she would come out, but she didn't. And then at some point she made the decision to take off again, and that's what she did. And here you can see that whole scene unfolding, the different police cars pulling up, and the cops are standing at the driver's side with their doors open, giving her the instructions, and we're waiting for her to come out, and she didn't. And you can see that she's pretty much surrounded, but when she does decide to take off again, the police basically yield to her vehicle. Their training now is to avoid an accident at all costs, even if you're cutting somebody off at low speed or putting down some barriers in the road, things that they used to do to try to slow a car down. It can lead to some serious injuries, and in a case like this, it's just not something that they do. They just let the car go. As the chopper reporter keeps saying, time is on the LAPD's side right now. They could drive around following this car for a pretty long amount of time until perhaps the car ran out of gas. And but again, it is a driving while intoxicated situation, possibly. Interesting, this early hour of the morning, 8:50 local time there in California, for someone to be driving under the influence. But in any case, this chase continues, and our KTTV chopper is still covering the situation. Let's listen back in.
2 minutes out, which means the LAPD might be close to handing this pursuit off to the California Highway Patrol. Look at all those units behind her, all those LAPD units behind her, and an airship, a helicopter there on the left side. So obviously not any traffic behind her other than
All right, we're obviously losing a bit of our signal from that chopper, KTTV chopper, which is following this slow-speed chase in Mission Hills, California. As our own Anita Vogel just told us, it's in the Santa Clarita area of the San Fernando Valley. The car heading northbound on I-5, and we're going to be, here's the tape from earlier that we're looking at now, when the car spun out and did come to a stop. At that point, it looked like perhaps this would be over, that perhaps the female driver would surrender herself, but that's not what happened. She eventually took off again, and we're looking live again at the slow-speed chase going on. Many units who are in pursuit, slow-speed pursuit of this car and this possible DUI. Let's listen back into the chopper reporter.
Turn signals. We did not see that. No, just driving along. And again, yeah, never really the speed limit. We saw a bus pass her at one point, so possibly maybe 40, 50 miles per hour at most. We're northbound on the 5, continuing up into Lyons would be the next exit, and looks like she's continuing here on the northbound 5.
All right, again, we're watching this slow-speed chase in Mission Hills, California. Our own Anita Vogel is in L.A., and she can just give us a little bit of background on this area, although obviously she doesn't have inside information on this particular chase suspect. Anita, what can you tell us about the area?
Right. Well, Patty Ann, I do have the picture now, so I can see the car traveling northbound on the highway. And again, you know, just interesting to point out that this is a female driver. You know, we see so many of these pursuits here in Los Angeles. Rarely are they female drivers. And we know that, or we believe that this woman was originally stopped because of suspicion that she had been drinking and driving. So we saw where the police officers did a pit maneuver, and we thought maybe at that point the chase would be over and that she would get out of the car and maybe police would approach her. But again, you know, this is someone who may have been drinking and driving. You know, we don't know what she has inside her car. She could have a weapon. I mean, we just don't know at this point. So that's why the police officers have to be very careful not to provoke her, not to approach her in any way that might be threatening to her. And yeah, it was unfortunate that she was able to get away at this point. But again, right now she is driving northbound on the I-5 freeway, which again is the northern end of the San Fernando Valley. And as you can see, not a lot of traffic there right now. It's just, it is not a heavy traffic area, especially for this time of the morning. The morning commute there pretty much over. And they're not, she's not heading into any kind of a business district or anything. This is sort of wide open area. And we can see from the chopper picture, there are a number of LAPD police cars following her. And apparently, according to the chopper pilot, they're going to the speed limit there. So this is not a chase that is out of control at any way at this point. And as you mentioned, Patty Ann, they just may be waiting her out, following her until perhaps she runs out of gas or decides to pull over to the side. So this is one of those situations where we're just going to have to wait and see. And in the meantime, you can bet that police officers back at the station are working the license plate to try to find out who this person is, if she has any kind of warrants out for her arrest, and what exactly the situation is here. So once police are able to get that information, they can better assess who this driver is and how best to handle this chase.
Yeah, it appears at this point that they're not encountering any other traffic on the road, so apparently everyone else has either heard the news about the chase and exited the road, or the roads have been blocked off, because it seems like it's just her and a whole line of police cars at this point. She is driving pretty well, I would say. I mean, she's been staying in her lane the whole time, and as you said, driving below the speed limit, driving pretty slowly. It's definitely not your run-of-the-mill slow speed car chase. Even the slow speed ones, usually you have a driver who's a bit more reckless. But it's also bizarre because it's a DUI case at 8:55 in the morning in California. Our own Greg Jarrett joins us here now. What a way to wake up in California.
You know, I can't. I have seen so many of these car chases, and I grew up in Los Angeles, in this area nearby here, and you know, this has been going on for decades, and they're almost a daily occurrence in Southern California because everybody has a car. There are more cars than there are drivers in Southern California, but I never recall, Patty Ann, ever seeing a car chase in which the suspect is a female. I mean, that is incredibly unusual. And as you point out, also unusual that this is an alleged DUI, and it's not even 9 a.m. in Southern California right now. But this woman doesn't appear to be weaving all over the road as if she were under the influence, but sometimes you never can tell. But police are pursuing her, and they're using the appropriate tactic here. The protocol in Southern California, as it is in many jurisdictions, is that unless it is a very armed and dangerous gunman, for example, somebody who poses a very high risk of threat to the public, only then will police pursue it at high speed, putting others at risk, obviously. But if the suspect is somebody like this, a low risk, a DUI, then the protocol is to go slowly. Obviously, you don't want to aggravate the situation, as we saw about a week ago, in which two guys in a truck driving at a high rate of speed trying to evade police rammed into another vehicle and killed one of the occupants.
Yeah, exactly the kind of tragedy they're trying to avoid. Joining us now on the phone, who can give us some insights into this strategy, Rick Robinson, who is a former police officer and West Virginia state trooper.
Hey, Patty Ann, how you doing?
Hi, great, thanks. So what is the strategy that we're seeing here?
You know, so, let me first mention that it is unusual for a woman or a young lady to be involved in a high-speed or any type of pursuit, but not exactly unheard of. And I've actually been involved in some studies involving how we've seen over the last, well, more than a decade, how more women are being arrested for more and more violent crimes. They're getting more tickets for aggressive driving, for driving recklessly, following too close, speeding, and that sort of thing. So it really doesn't surprise me. We'll probably see that in time, maybe another decade from now, we'll see men and women both pretty equal in the number of pursuits that law enforcement officers are involved in. But what I am seeing here, if it is accurate that they were going to pull her over or try to pull her over for DUI or suspicion of driving under the influence of something or other, the evidence that we're seeing right now would suggest that she probably is not, or she's sobered up pretty quick, one or the other. But they are following a clear protocol, and that is they're staying back. They're not forming a caravan of law enforcement officers that are sitting on her bumper pushing her forward, because that is always the question that comes up in court. The defense attorneys will always say, well, my client was afraid to pull over because she, in this case, saw these guys right on her bumper, and she was afraid to hit her brake and afraid of what they might do. And we see these terrible things on news clips that law enforcement officers allegedly do to suspects, and so I was afraid to pull over, and so I just kept going. I didn't know what to do. But clearly that's not going to be a good defense in this particular case, because they are sitting back.